Step onto the field. I'm Patrick Dangerfield.
And I'm Josh Jenkins. Well, Pat, after an unbelievable season, an unbelievable performance Friday night in the prelim final, you and your Geelong Cats are in the grand final for 2022. It said Geelong versus Sydney. Congratulations. And how do you feel?
Feel good, JJ. A year's a long time in footy. I mean, a week's a long time in footy. That's the general saying, isn't it? But for us to go from, last year's prelim where we were soundly beaten by Melbourne to the season that we've had with one game left to go, it's great to be still alive in a seasonal sense and a game sense that our destiny is in our own hands, and to have a packed MCG, it's going to be special.
Yes, it is a unique experience for you because you've played in a grand final, but that was in Brisbane in 2020. Now you get the full experience of a Melbourne grand final. And this is one thing for now I've done that you haven't done. There aren't many things in footy that I've done that you haven't done. It's actually the other way around. But a Melbourne grand final is incredible. Of course, we've had a couple taken away from us over the past couple of years, but early days. Now we're sitting here on a Tuesday afternoon, so most of the week is still in front of you. But how's it been thus far? You had the open training session, you've had all the logistics and ticketing and all that mayhem, hopefully out of the road. How's it been thus far?
Yeah, it's been, you can see why it is so special to have it at the G. And that's, Brisbane was wonderful hosting it. Western Australia, the same thing with Optus Stadium last year. But footy and the MCG, they're hand in hand when it comes to the biggest occasion, on the calendar for us. And I can understand why after, the last few days, what it's been like, open training, those sorts of things. And then the whole state just embraces it. Even walking down the street at Geelong, everyone's just saying a quick hello. Good luck this week.
Yep.
It's been really, really nice. Something that I think you have to embrace as a player. Don't try and hide from it, because if you do, then you'll have to go to the far corners of the globe to to not be engulfed by it all.
What did you think you'd get another go at this? Of course, we've mentioned the 2020 grand final loss to Richmond in Brisbane. Did you think you'd get another go? You're 32, of course, and nothing is given, nothing is easy, and nothing is promised. Did you think you would get another go, or did you have a moment where you thought you wouldn't get another go?
I've never really thought of it as is that the only opportunity that we'll ever get? Like, it's sort of, it's just been sort of moment by moment and year by year. And whether that's, just putting to one side that it's later in my career, than certainly others. I've never viewed it as in, the clock's running out. Mm-hmm. It's just the next moment and the next opportunity to give it a crack. But, as time goes by, you naturally, you're closer to the end than you are the finish, and there's no time like the present. So when you get an opportunity and then you don't execute, it's like, is that it? But I never thought it was, to be honest. I think one of the things that the club's been incredible at, and long before my time, well and truly, it's just, it always gives you an opportunity to challenge every year. Doesn't mean we win it every year, but the club gives us an opportunity to play finals, to be competitive. And that's not a given in this competition. So, it's a privilege to play, and, drink it up, embrace every second of it.
Now, let's go back before we go forward. I want you to, outline the week and what it looks like for you. For people who are listening or watching who don't and won't ever get to experience a grand final week, take us inside what that looks like. But firstly, you were back to your very, 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 very best last week in the prelim against Brisbane. Just have a listen and a look at some of your finest work.
Is it wide? Holmes Sits under that really nicely, and then to half forward with the ball. Dangerfield! What sort of a start would this be for their champion? Almost directly in front. That's going through.
And it's going to be the Cats now with Stanley.
Slapped forward into the hands of Dangerfield. Oh, he's on. He's on the danger.
James Brayshaw summed it up beautifully. He's on. What does it feel like? You know, you can easily miss those shots at goal, particularly the second one where you slap it on the boot and it goes straight through. You flush it. What does that feel like in that moment?
Oh, I think probably the message for young aspiring footballers out there is understanding what the game is and not trying to build it up any bigger than the occasion calls for. Like, it's just a game, one that you've already played, many times throughout the season. And whilst there is greater significance for it, as a player, you can't build it up so big that you become so small and it engulfs you. So I think that's a really important part around, performance. So it's just that next moment, taking the ball cleanly, all those things that it just rolls off the tongue when you talk about generic commentary around performance. But it just has to be. It's just doing those little things well, because, taking the ball clearly, it's going to give you an extra couple of seconds to make a decision once you've got it in a position to kick or handball, so you don't feel as rushed. And that culminates in, a more well-rounded performance. So, the strength of our team though this year, it's been just the moments from so many different players that change every week. That's been the key to our success, and everyone at different stages has stood up and taken their turn. And Brian Myers on the weekend, that's probably the best game of AFL footy he's played. He was just phenomenal.
He was. Outline the week for us. So give us a quick snapshot of the week. Of course, Sunday and Monday are in the books. You've been into the club Tuesday. So what does it look like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the night of the game, and then the morning and afternoon leading into the game? Just take us through that, because, as I said, not many of us will get to experience what you're about to experience.
Yeah, it's a bit of a whirlwind. So we come in after winning, against Brisbane, coming to the change rooms, and then we're briefed really quickly on what the week is going to look like. We're going to come in Sunday morning for a team meeting at 10 a.m. And really, it's got nothing to do with the game, that briefing. That's the whole week, what it's going to look like, ticketing, getting these sorts of things done early so you're not scrambling late, because the week does tend to race, especially when I compare it, to 2020 in the hub. It was a totally different set of circumstances. Whereas this week, there's just so much happening. So we came in Sunday, briefed on what the week's going to look like, team hotels, ticketing, all that sort of thing. And then Monday, it's trying to get back into that rhythm of footy.
Yep.
Albeit it's different because it's an open session and there's 10,000 people at GMHBA Stadium. So we knocked that off Monday morning, and then it's the media come in, the pack, and that's a couple of hours with them knocking over interviews, and every player does something to some extent there. And then really, once Tuesday comes around, it's trying to get in as much of a normal football routine as possible, massage and recovery today at the day of our recording, and then Wednesday's main session, massage in the afternoon. Try and give yourself that mental break on the Thursday, and then we'll take a team bus in Friday morning to the parade. That goes for roughly an hour.
Jump on a boat.
On the boat. That goes roughly an hour. We'll have a closed session, our captain's run at the MCG, and then wherever you want to stay, whether it's team hotel in Melbourne, it's back to Geelong and staying in your house, whatever. It's for each individual to choose, basically. But trying to not let your mind drift, probably been one of the biggest challenges, because as a young player, it's all you dream of. And as an older player, you understand your mortality within the game. So it's being in the moment, not being afraid to allow yourself to go there every now and then, just, not the whole time all week.
What are your plans? You don't live in Geelong, you live in Moggs Creek, so you're another 30 or 40 minutes past Geelong. So that's a long way from Melbourne. Are you going to stay in Melbourne, in Geelong? Are you going to go back to Moggs Creek? What are your plans?
No, for me, it'll be stay up in town. It's just this. It's the simplest way, especially given the parade. Then the fact that we've got, captain's run after that, and then it's an early game. So if it was a night game, perhaps you do go home. But there's just, the turnaround's quite quick. So it's just simplest just to, stay in Melbourne and prepare that way. That means you can have a sleep in. You're not rushing traffic for the couple of hours drive up and battling all those sort of external factors. So as a club, we try and minimize the stress to the absolute max for our players. So they really don't have to think in regards to getting there. It's, team buses and all that sort of thing. So it's quite simplistic.
Well, I've managed to tell Hannah that I need to have a night on my own up in Melbourne on Friday night as well. So if you need your coffee delivered, if you need a pedestal fan, I'll even give up my pedestal fan for you to use if it's going to help you get to sleep on Friday, because I don't imagine falling asleep will be super, super easy the night before a grand final. Now, let's talk about the opponents just quickly, the Sydney Swans, and how they've emerged this season. They're on a winning streak of their own. I know the Cats are on a big winning streak, but Sydney are about 9 or 10 in a row. Couldn't be more impressive, this young group of players. They've got some superstars in the front half, Papley, Buddy, Isaac Heaney. Buddy re-signs yesterday, which is interesting timing. They've got emerging midfielders. Callum Mills is a star and someone you might see a little bit of. Luke Parker, we know his deeds, and the McCartan brothers down back. So they couldn't be a more impressive unit, the Swannies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they've been that for a very long period of time, a really combative side. They're very contested, and they'll make you grind. So, personally, I have nothing but admiration for the way they've gone about, the way they play their footy, and even the way that they've rebuilt their team over the last few years. They took a couple of steps back, and then very, very quickly it's back into that frame of one of the best teams in the competition. It's a really well-run organisation. Tommy Harley obviously doing a phenomenal job, as well as John Longmire. And I suppose in that Sydney market, when it's not a traditional footballing state, you just have to be. You can't afford not to be in the sporting conversation constantly, or the challenges of other codes rear its head. It's not like other footballing based states where you don't have that same level of competition. It's on in Sydney. So they've done a terrific job with how they've set up their team. And we will need to be at our absolute best to win the game. But I'm confident at the same time. I'm confident we can do that. We've shown right throughout this year that best is more than good enough. And I think it's for each team, it'll be who can get their game on their terms for the longest period of time, and who can capitalise in front of goal, and who can restrict the opponents from scoring.
Sounds pretty simple to me. Now, the stories of the grand final, I wrote a few down. There are heaps, and we have to start with Max Holmes and Sam Reid, both, in a race against time to be fit for the grand final. I guess your worst nightmare as a player, having worked all season long. Sam Reid's been in really good form as the backup ruck, sort of part-time forward for the Swans. He, seems unlikely to be able to play, but Max Holmes, of course, tell us what you're able to about his situation, what your understanding is of the situation, and maybe even some of the conversation or encounters that you've had with Max, in the past few days.
Yeah, in terms of whether he'll play or won't he, it's still very much up in the air. I thought there was no chance post game Brisbane, to be totally honest with you. And then to see him running on Monday and running at a decent clip, it was like, oh, hang on, here's a chance. This morning he was kicking and moving really well. I mean, perhaps it's the fact he's 21 and
Unbreakable.
he's unbreakable in that sense. I mean, he's a unique athlete because he's got that, the traits of being a phenomenal endurance runner, but with elite speed. So, I mean, maybe it's genetics that he's just blessed in that sense that he has these powers of recuperation. But, we'll give him absolutely every chance to get up and play. And then, I suppose that, Friday, the coaches will make that call one way or another, what's best for Max and what's best for the team. So it's something that will, you just give the player every opportunity and then you make a calculated decision post that. And I think Sydney will be in that same position. Obviously, he's such an integral piece to how they form up. Those players that can play forward and then chop out in the ruck are a critical, cog in the way that teams play. So, Reed's central to that with how Sydney go about things.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to follow both, and hopefully both guys are able to get to the line for their own respective clubs. So we'll follow that with interest. Ty, a quick word on Tyson Stengel gets to play in a grand final, played in an SANFL Premiership this time last year. All-Australian, has a phenomenal season, 50 goals. He gets his chance to win an AFL Premiership medal on the back of his SANFL Premiership medal. What a story.
An incredible story. I mean, what a season, All-Australian. I haven't seen a player that hits a front and square sort of method and position at such speed, but with such balance. He'll take the ball cleanly and then be ready to kick in a matter of milliseconds. So he's been a revelation for us. And at 23, he's only going to get better the more time that he spends with our forwards. So, it's been a fairly handy pickup for literally nothing. So he's been spectacular. But I think the great thing about grand finals and sport in general is that there's these stories everywhere, isn't there? They're woven through both teams, whether it's, Jeremy Cameron, the ultimate showman, but on the other side of things, you've got Lance Franklin, who comes to Sydney on the biggest deal a player has ever taken. He's in his 9th year of that contract. Many said that he'll never play out. Not only does he play it out, he signs an extension. So, there's so many of these. And then you have the captains from both teams, and you have someone like Joel Selwood, who will go down as one of the greatest of all time and one of the, the greatest people in football.
Mm-hmm.
What it would be for, what a moment it would be for him to hold up that Premiership Cup. He deserves to. I think he breaks Michael Tuck's record, obviously, this week with 40 finals, Josh.
Yeah, indeed. It's quite incredible. He does indeed break that record. 40 finals, if you don't mind, breaks the record on grand final day, aiming to hold up the Premiership Cup as captain for the first time. We know he played in 3 premierships in 07, 09 and 11, but now he gets the opportunity to potentially hold the cup aloft with Chris Scott as the captain. So that's a phenomenal story, and just one of a million stories as well across the week. Isaac Smith, he's looking for his 4th premiership. Josh Kennedy misses out. He strained his hamstring at training a week or so ago, so he misses out, but that's a shame for him, but just all part of what goes on in grand final week. Gary Rowan's looking for redemption, his 4th time to a grand final. Can he win his first premiership? He's been playing very well. His first and second finals were both excellent performances. Jeremy Cameron, Pat, I hope he's a little more switched on than he was at the Brownlow when he was caught eating watermelons when he knew that he was going to be getting 3 votes. I think he's actually the smartest man in the room, Jezza.
Josh, when we got to the Brownlow, so part of the agreement, we initially thought that we were going to be at Cardinia Park without having to travel up the highway. So we find out, all right,
Better go.
The AFL's making us go, all right. But we're going to be isolated. So COVID, etc. You mitigate those risks. Fantastic. We get to the room. It's great. It's really good. Genuinely is. And then can you just point me towards the bathroom, please? Yeah, no worries. Just out there with everyone else.
Not happy to share a bathroom.
What's the point? What's the point of having the isolation? But if you're going to go to the bathroom, there's literally, 1,500 other people in the room next door celebrating the Brownlow. And I'm not sure they all rat tested before they got there, Josh.
No, I don't think they would have. We'll get to the Brownlow in a minute. I've got two more things I want to ask you. Why, this is a setup, why did you get invited to the Brownlow, can I ask? Didn't get any votes.
That's a great question.
Do you have an answer?
I actually don't.
Oh,
I've
of all the weeks to be humble, he chooses grand final week. Now, the last one, tickets.
Yes.
How have you gone with tickets? Everyone wants a ticket to the grand final. You've got an abnormally large amount of Dangerfields. That's not even counting for close friends and your wife's family. How have you gone on the ticketing front, and how much has it cost you?
Oh, well, whatever we get paid for the grand final, that's up in smoke. I'm in the negatives. But vast majority of my family, they're all up in Byron Bay at the moment. So they're at the September school holidays. So that's saved me a fortune in itself, the fact they're not there. But rumbling up tickets, that has been challenging. It could have been horrendous had Collingwood got into the game. Imagine what tickets would have been selling for with the Pies, Magpie Army in the grand final. So slightly easier with the Cats and the Swannies.
All right, let's get to the Brownlow. That's enough about the grand final per se. But the Brownlow, Patrick Cripps ends up winning by 1 vote from Lachie Neale. It was a close count. I was glad to see the midfielders not go north of 30. Last year was just absolutely comical, the amount of votes the midfielders picked up last year. But Patrick Cripps, he started the season in incredible form. He did enough to grab some votes late in the year and win the 2022 Brownlow, Patrick. So he joins the family.
He does. Thank the lawyer, obviously. That was an important part of it.
Wasn't that a little bit cheeky between he and Gill? He gave Gill a little clap in the post Brownlow press conference. But well done to the lawyer.
well, what else do you say? You're innocent until proven guilty, unless you're proven guilty, and then your lawyer can prove that you're innocent. So, I mean, phenomenal season. It could have gone to any of those players, but he could have. Yep. Yeah, I mean, the way that he plays, he's different to obviously Lachie Neale and Touk Miller. He's just this big, massive, powerful unit. Kicks goals.
Yeah.
He's 195 playing against Patrick Cripps. I think this is the bit that's lost sometimes. It's like playing against that's Pav. Matthew Pavlich is the same size. Like just an enormous human being, and to roll around in the midfield the way that he has, he looked so much fresher and free compared to last season. It just felt like every game last season he had strapping on just about every part of his body, but he had that freedom back and that movement that sort of we've come to know from him. So for me, he was the standout player of the season. There's obviously been some really good performances. Jez has had a wonderful year. Brayshaw, terrific from Freo, winning the AFLPA MVP. But Patrick Cripps, I think, is very much a worthy Brownlow winner. Josh.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Welcome to the family, Patrick. Not from me, from Pat, on behalf of Pat, because I'm not in the family. Now, let's get stuck into Mirror on the Media. We've got a couple here. Now, the first one is the Sydney...
We are a joke, mate. We are...
No, we're going to get to the Sydney Swans just quickly. I threw this one in post-pro. Buddy re-signs. They announce it during grand final week. Is that a little bit strange to you? This is just not necessarily a mirror on the media, but just trying to decipher what goes on, and a very Michael Jordan-ish press release as well, where it just said the Sydney Swans and Lance Franklin would like to release the following statement: one more ends. Very MJ-styled press release from Big Bud.
It was. I actually didn't know that was all that was written in.
That's all that was said. One
I wasn't aware of that.
Capital letters, and then it said ends. So the Big Bud's going to go around for one more year. My hands up. I didn't think he'd get through the 9-year deal. Well, he's made it through and then some. So he's going to go around one more time.
I don't think it's strange. Like, if you're going to announce it, you definitely do it early in the week, so it makes sense.
Yes, yeah.
You're not going to do it late in the week. And maybe it's just taken this long to get to the stage where it's like, you know what, I'm comfortable with life. I'm happy with footy, and yeah, let's run this back one more. So I'm not sure whether it's necessarily a strategic thing. Perhaps it's just, you know what, this is right for me. This is right for my family, and I'm going to go again.
Yeah, he is going to go around again. He's a marvel, and hopefully he gets stuff all of the footy on Saturday. Now, the real mirror on the media.
Oh, this is a joke, Josh.
Driven by the media. Andy Mast led the charge. He's been in our crosshairs for some time, and we're going to come down on him like a ton of bricks. He keeps it up. The music after the goals at AFL venues has been scrapped. Gillan McLaughlin was on Waitley this morning, Tuesday morning, explaining that it has been scrapped. Jared hates it. Everyone seems to hate it. My wife actually came home from the prelim and said, and I didn't really take much notice of this at the time, but now thinking back, she said, geez, the playlist at the MCG was really good because she loved the goal.
It was great.
Music in between the goals. You as a player, you loved it. But
I love it.
All the old folk, the 40-pluses, they hate it.
Oh, honestly, it's like you have to watch the game and just, you know, can we not look to continue to evolve our game to make it better? Like, it drives me nuts when, you know, don't change any rules. Don't change any of the entertainment. The football should be enough entertainment. The same people that are also complaining, the game's not good enough anymore. It was great in the 80s. Like, people are not happy unless they're complaining about something. Like, that in itself is totally clear. But the game needs to become more of an entertainment factor. So there's more reasons than just the footy to go to the footy. It's a ride and it's an experience. I mean, that's what people love. I don't think ice hockey is everyone's favorite sport in the States, but if you travel to the States, you go to the ice hockey because you understand of all the sports, it's more than just the puck on the ice.
Yep.
It's everything that's involved in it, the emotion that the show brings, the music, the light show, all of it. And I think we need to continue to look at bringing that to our game. And Gil spoke about this, but it's like the haters, the few hundred haters, and we have to all of a sudden, change our tack because of those few. Bugger off.
Yeah, I hope you said puck too when you were talking the ice hockey. So Gil did say Melbourne's slow to evolve. He was a little defiant. So if he's staying
slow, mate, we are 40 years behind everyone else. All of the world sports that just get this stuff, and we are still rolling around in the 1980s where it's like the golf. Mate, let's get on the live golf.
Yes.
Don't worry about the PGA. That's done.
I'm with you. Basketball is immensely more entertaining when there's music and fast pace and all those things happening. So anyway, it's not happening for the grand final, but Gil sounded like it was something that was likely to happen moving forward. So that was Mirror on the media. 3 votes, Pat. Danny Laidley, of course, was at the Brownlow, the same as you were. And I just think the bravery needs to be commended, as well as our industry and the acceptance. And you made a good point before we jumped on, just the inclusiveness and the acceptance of the industry, which hasn't always been that way. It shows we're making strides as an industry and a community. And I mean, you couldn't necessarily give Danny 3 votes. You probably need to give her 3, 2, and 1, because it's a piece of bravery and courage that I don't necessarily think I'd be able to display.
No, and I agree with you. Like, so often, everyone should just be comfortable enough to be their authentic selves.
Yeah.
But if your authentic self is vastly different than the 99% of the population, and as a society, we haven't made that a comfortable enough environment for you to be yourself, then we've failed as an industry, as the AFL, and we've failed culturally around it. I think one of the things that just improves so much as an industry is that acceptance that everyone is different. and that's okay. And not only is it okay, it's great
Welcome.
because how good it like. I just reckon it's so much more. Life is so much more fun to build up people and enjoy the ride and appreciate, everyone's differences rather than tearing people down for not conforming to, the vast majority. And I just thought it was terrific for Danny to roll up to talk the way that she did to the journos there. And it should just seem free. This is me. And for us as an industry to, and then next move on and we go to the next story. It's like, it just, we've improved so much from, gone are the days of, going through worst on ground at halftime in a game or picking the character flaws out of people. I just, I thought it was absolutely terrific. Such growth as a code, and it's great for someone that's contributed a lot to the industry itself to feel accepted by it.
Agreed. Well said. Now, Joe, the Goose of the Week, we're going off of the footy for a little moment.
And you couldn't not, Josh.
No, Dennis Schroeder, the German born basketball star, formerly an LA Laker, left back to the LA Lakers, been all over the place. So when he was an LA Laker, Dennis, the menace, he was offered $80 million US.
$84 million US.
You can work that out for yourself. That's a lot.
Over 4 years, I think it was, Josh.
He wanted to bet on himself. So he said, no, I'm going to go to market. I want a max contract. So I want more. I want 150 million.
100 million. Yeah.
So he has gone and bet on himself and nothing was forthcoming. And he has re-signed, Pat, for a miserly, a pitty little $2.64 million.
We were talking about this during the week when I sent it through to you. I'm not sure I could live with myself having turned down, well in excess of 100 million Australian for 2.6 when, that was guaranteed money, 4 years.
Yep.
Life changing, family changing, you name it, changing.
Oh, yeah, everything. Generational wealth.
And then to bet on yourself, like how much is enough? And quite clearly for Dennis, it wasn't enough.
And make no mistake, people listening or watching this might say, $2.6 million is enough to live off. Not in the American NBA lifestyle. 2.6 million in an NBA lifestyle is about the equivalent of being on 100K. In all seriousness, with the way those guys lead their lives, and not all of them, but most of them, the way they lead their lives, that is not a lot of money. So to leave 100 million Aussie AUD on the table would just make you sick. I don't know if the man would have slept since.
It's amazing to think because like when you talk about lifestyle, so how do they spend it? Well, vast majority of players, they hire private jets. So there's companies in the US which are private jet companies, and these players all chip into whatever it is to be part of, whatever jet club it is, and then you pay per use of that private jet. So they're spending hundreds of thousands transporting family and friends around the country. It's not like you don't play from state to state. It's not like there's 8 teams in Melbourne and you're just playing in the city. You are jetting your friends and entourage around.
Yep.
So that's where it just evaporates so quickly. And 20 million, Grant, in the coffers per annum, and he's just said, see you later.
Oh, it's pain. It's pain. I feel for you, Dennis, but you are, unfortunately, and this won't make you feel any better either, you are our Joe the Goose of the week. Pat, I need to let you go. I've held you up for 34 and a half minutes, 2:30 Saturday afternoon, the MCG, Geelong v Sydney, P. Dangerfield should be starting in the centre bounce. We'll see whether that is forthcoming. Will you be sitting next to me on the interchange? But either way, good luck from everyone here at the field. We wish you and the Cats all the best. If you need anything Friday night at the hotel, just I'm a phone call away. Milo, chocolate, all of the above. If you need anything, just yell out day or night. I'll be there. Good luck and hopefully, well, we'll be speaking next week regardless, but I just hope that it's in a very positive
Yes.
environment.
Agreed. Beautiful work, Gronk. Thank you.
Well done. This has been The Field with JJ and Danger, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, thefieldau.com, wherever you can get a good podcast from. Pat's had enough. He wants to go and prepare for the 2022 AFL Grand Final. We'll chat to you again soon.